You are so disrespectful.
He is going to fall off a cliff.
Shut the hell up.
That's not even close to my best.
They're wrong. And I don't give a damn that they agree with me or not.
You know what time it is. We're getting you in the holiday spirit with a Christmas-themed final take. Santa A. Smith, get us set. Oh, how cute you look. Get us set for the weekend.
Yes, hello. Listen, Christmas Day is this weekend, this Sunday, and obviously we're all looking forward to it, opening our presents, giving gifts, being merry, and what have you. And obviously the NBA wants us to join their party because they're giving us the Celtics and the New York Knicks at noon. They're giving us the Bulls and the Spurs. They're giving us the Lakers and the Clippers late at night. They've squeezed in the young phenoms in Minnesota against Russell Westbrook. I mean, are you touched? Are you touched, ladies and gentlemen? I think it's a beautiful thing. So they say. So everybody wants us to believe. But what happens, what the reality of the situation is that no matter how much you love basketball, you have to reel things in and recognize that the one game on this docket that really, really matters to everybody are the Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Golden State Warriors. We're all looking forward to the trilogy. We're all looking forward to Steph Curry with Klay Thompson and now Kevin Durant going up against LeBron James and the crew in June. People like my man Max Kellerman love the theater. They love seeing a superstar team going off and running roughshod over the league from November or late October, that is, all the way through May. But it's people like that, as far as I'm concerned, that don't appreciate the game of basketball for what it's supposed to be. As much as I respect the greatness of Kevin Durant, it still rakes my nerves and touches my soul that this man left to join the team that beat him in the Western Conference Finals. But that's where we are. Everybody wants to be happy. So y'all go ahead and be happy. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Hug one another, sing Kumbaya. Congratulations, Max Kellerman. You have the game you want. The rest of us,
I'm happy.
I can't wait to see that game. Stephen A., let it go for the new year. My Christmas wish. Tiger Woods is hitting the links with the Donald. He will play with the president-elect at Trump International Golf Club today, according to a pool report. Stephen A., your thoughts?
Well, I don't like it. And it has nothing to do with him actually playing golf. The fact that it's something that's been leaked and publicized just elevates the level of cynicism that should be accorded to the situation. Obviously, Trump got elected, and there is no doubt that at least a segment of his constituency have expressed sentiments that, you know, vast communities in this country aren't too comfortable with. I'll just leave it at that for now. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it is one thing to talk to people. It is another thing to make sure that they are seen, that people see them talking to you, that you're going about the business of ingratiating yourself with folks. And remember, listen, somebody like Jim Brown, for example, who I love dearly and revere because of his accomplishments on the football field and with the America I Can Foundation and the things that he's done in our inner city communities, they're to be commended. But when you just finish witnessing the kind of election we've witnessed, you don't want to hear a Jim Brown saying, I'm in love with Donald Trump. You could sit up there and say, I'm gonna listen to him. I hope we get things done. We're here to do X, Y, and Z. But to sit up there and to say you are in love with the man, that rubbed people the wrong way, at least from my community. And then you look at a guy like Tiger Woods, and, you know, here you are. Tiger Woods is, in fairness to him, he's always golfed with presidents in the past. This is not new. We get that part. But for it to be something that's advertised, it just seems to be a bit orchestrated, to say the least. And Tiger Woods is, in my estimation, he should be careful about that. If you want to play golf with the man, play golf with the man. And the people out there taking pictures when it happens, so be it. But to announce it beforehand that you're going to play against a number 500 and something ranked golfer in the world, even though he's Tiger Woods, or whatever the case may be, whatever the hell his ranking is at this particular moment in time, it just comes across as incredibly disingenuous. I'll just leave it at that.
I would say that the issue I have with this is the continuing normalizing of Donald Trump, and at first his rhetoric during the election, which he won with almost 3 million fewer votes than Hillary Clinton, but which he won in the Electoral College, and said a lot of things that would get a lot of people fired from their job. And that was somewhat normalized by the voters. And those are people who have to deal with the consequences of their own behavior, and obviously still felt comfortable casting their votes in that way. But when people like Tiger Woods, who has a certain social standing, although obviously not what it once was, make this public, it not only normalizes that rhetoric, because I even said after the election, as many did, look, this has now happened, and maybe that rhetoric was toward a certain segment of the population that wanted to hear it for whatever reason, and now let's see what he does. We have to start with a clean slate and hope for the best. But since then, there has been stuff that has been outside of the norms of American political life that has been happening. It's not just the rhetoric anymore, it's the behavior. So the question is, if you're Tiger Woods or anyone, do you want to lend your celebrity to the normalizing of certain behavior, which is outside the norms of our politics? For example, texting intimidation toward news media outlets, not divesting from international business, the choice to not receive daily briefings. These are all unprecedented in modern American politics. Escalating nuclear tensions globally with tweets, escalating tension with China, inclusion of his own children in official business, refusal to meet the press, dismissal of the fact that the election was influenced by Russia and Putin. Like, all these things I just said may not disqualify Donald Trump based on future behavior from being a good president, but they are certainly, at the very least, you can say it's very unusual. Well, it is not normal for a president-elect in my lifetime to do anything like any of those things. And so when Tiger Woods says, hey, I'm going to play golf with him, he's normalizing it. That's his decision. Right. But this is not, hold on, this is not a situation where you simply disagree with politics one way or another. This is outside of the norms of the scope of the experience of this country with a president-elect.
But Max, I'm sorry, man. I got to jump off the reservation on that one, and here's why. You just said stuff that 99% of our population probably don't understand or know what the hell you're talking about.
It's very
because they're not
straightforward.
following. Let me finish. Because they're not following it the way you're following it. I get your point in terms of everything that you're saying. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but what I'm saying is it's a bit extreme because you're assuming that Tiger Woods or somebody in that position is thinking about all of that. That's just not true. Like, you know, you're and I'm not messing with you here. I'm being very serious.
I'm glad you brought this up. I'll respond. Yep.
Let me finish. And complimentary in the same breath, because I listen, you are a brilliant brother, man, and you are a deep thinker. And you take it to that level, but you have to appreciate the fact that if everybody was you wouldn't be special. You're special because you think on an elevated level in that regard. I can't hold Tiger Woods accountable for all of that stuff because I'm pretty certain that he ain't thinking about that. That's why I stuck to the point that I was making. What I'm saying is that whether you want to recognize yourself as black or cannibal Asian or whatever the hell you called yourself years ago, if you're Tiger Woods, one thing that is clear about all of this that's relatively simplistic is that Trump, listen, I don't believe the Trump that I knew, that I spoke to before he ran for the presidency, I didn't see anything remotely racist. I'm going to be very, very clear about that.
I agree with that, by the way. I agree with that.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do. But what I'm saying is that I believe an argument could be made that he was catering towards a constituency. Nevertheless, some like you and others would deem that relatively irresponsible. And my point is, that's clear. That's easy to surmise, to look at it and say, Tiger, do you really want this dude, advertising you essentially as a prop so he could go out there and say, look at me with my black friend here? Is that what you want to do? Or do you want to guard against that? There's nothing wrong with meeting with them, playing golf with them, talking about your foundation, with all the charitable things that Tiger Woods has done. But to advertise it ahead of time is a bit shaky.
wanna
But
respond.
to go to what you point, it's more complicated going where you're going.
I want to
I'm
respond.
saying.
I appreciate what you said about some people paying closer attention to the details than others may have a different view of what's okay and what's not okay. In this respect, maybe Tiger Woods is not as informed as maybe I am or others are.
Right.
Okay, I understand that point. And here is my point. And whether or not the mainstream media has been responsible in covering this responsibly and making sure people understand that there isn't an equivalency really between the candidates beforehand and that Trump is not like everybody else, and at least in my lifetime, he is something different. I don't know if that's been made clear enough by the mainstream media, but even if it's not, this is my point, Stephen A. It is every person's responsibility at this point, every adult in this country, to, ignorance is not an excuse right now. That's my point. Whatever in the past you may have agreed or disagreed with H.W. Bush or W. Bush or Ronald Reagan or Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or any other president in your lifetime, you may have agreed or disagreed, even Richard Nixon or some, who was forced to resign. But they were all within the norms of our experience and of our politics. And what I'm saying is Donald Trump is outside the norms. You can't pretend he's not. These are the facts, and I'm not just talking about the rhetoric before the election. I'm talking about his behavior since becoming president-elect. Now, as I said, that doesn't disqualify him from being a good president. We will see. But it certainly is unusual and raises the alarm. So someone like Tiger Woods, ignorance is not an excuse. You have to make yourself aware.
But I'm not saying that he's ignorant. I'm saying he's ignorant to the points he might be ignorant, rather, to the points you may have brought up. Or he may not care because his politics might be different than yours. What we have to be mindful of and be careful of is making sure and understanding that this is America, and people do have a right and a license to disagree and come from a totally different perspective. Like, for example, I think my politics may very well identify with that of a Jim Brown. I would not have said what he said about being in love with Trump. But I didn't have a problem with him meeting with the man, because if you're trying to address concerns about the inner city, and this is obviously going to be the president and he could resolve some issues, it's a bigger deal. But at the same time, again, there are people that had a problem with him even meeting with the man, while others like me did not. Everybody has a different perspective, a different point of view. And no matter what Donald Trump is, and no matter how powerful he is, or anybody else for that, no one man is more greater, more powerful than the United States of America. We've had problems before we were even born. There were problems that existed on this earth that some people would label comparable to what we're dealing with right now. We survived, we prospered, we elevated, we conquered, we did whatever we needed to do because we're America. And that's who we are, and that's who we will remain. Period.
Well said, Stephen A. Smith. On a much lighter note, continuing with Tiger Woods, he also gave everyone an early Christmas gift. Can we please talk about this? Posting this picture on Twitter, Tiger appeared shirtless with a white wig, white goatee, sunglasses, and a black Raiders hat. Everybody meet Mac Daddy Santa. Apparently his kids love this. This is what he tells us. Max, your reaction to Mac Daddy?
I care much less about this than the topic we just discussed.
Yeah.
This is.
I agree. I agree there.
Sorry, guys. That was a tough transition there. We went another level.
No, the point is, listen, that's what everyone's talking about online right now.
We're being silly.
I understand.
You're deeper than that.
He wants to let his freak fly. Go ahead, Tiger. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly gotten people's attention.
Max, would your kids love that? If you went Mac Daddy, took the shirt off, did the goatee,
if they thought it was silly, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's certainly.
I'd be scared if my father did that.
It certainly hits on a theme that seemed to be part of his downfall as a professional, Stephen A.
Well, that's where I was going, which is why I didn't find it funny. I understand that it's for his kids, so I'm going to be sensitive to that. But let it be for your kids. Don't post it where ultimately it's available to us publicly, because I got news for Tiger Woods. The word Mac Daddy has a different connotation in the public eye than it does to his kids. And when we think Mac Daddy Max, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not thinking about, oh, you're the daddy.
No.
You're thinking about, you're the Mac Daddy,
Yeah.
you're the man.
Yeah.
You out there womanizing and all of this other stuff. Well, what the hell are you going to think about when you see that with Tiger Woods? I thought it was a very stupid
Return of
thing
the
for
Mac.
him to do. I thought it was a very stupid thing for him to do. I thought it propped up and conjured up memories of his past transgressions, which I do not believe was the wisest thing for him to do. He should have kept that private between him and his kids. It ain't none of our business anyway, and that should have been that. But because he let it be public, you grab a different connotation to it. As unfair as it may be to him, by the way, I'm just addressing what other folks obviously are thinking when they hear the word Mac Daddy. It was not smart of Tiger Woods to do that.
Tiger taking us from both ends of the spectrum there. But if his kids like it, then I love it. And I don't want to be hard on him if that's something fun. It's the holiday season. Hopefully they enjoy it, as he said.